So I want you to understand, right, that if you do not read, you can't see eye to eye with people who do. And that's really probably one of the issues causing trouble in your life. You know? I was there having a conversation with a lady, right? Which again, you know, right? But I'm having a conversation with a lady. And here's the difference, right? She's telling me what some foreign governments are saying, right? And of course, you know, I'm in public, so I gotta be careful what I'm talking about, right? But she's telling me what some foreign government is saying. And she's like, man, look how they say this shit. And I'm like, yeah, I see why they're saying that. You know, because if you understand the concept of might makes right, or if you understand the concept of nations, nationality, nationhood, you know, power concedes nothing without a demand, and never has and never will. Or just the reality of how power operates. You know, power is mainly to keep itself in power, right? You realize what's going on. What they're saying, hey man, we trying to subdue a revolution. You know, but when you don't read, right? You don't see that, you know, because you ain't reading things, and that's the frightening part, because the reality is this: if you read, you can see eye to eye with people who don't. You understand what it's like to not read, but if you don't read, you can't see eye to eye with people who do. And the reality is this: when you go up in a chain, or you go up the ladder, the political ladder, the economic ladder or something, you come across more people who are reading. You see what I'm saying? That's why I sometimes say reading and leading they're not one and the same, but they go together. Okay? They go together. And you know, and here's the issue here too. Here's one of the bigger issues, all right? When you talking about when I say seeing eye to eye when people read, I'm saying, look. Now here's now, look. Pay attention to this right here, right? You don't gotta be. You don't, like, I would say this: get 3 books together, right? Get 3 books together. You say, look, this is what I want to talk about. Okay? This is what I want to talk about, right? And if you can get your woman to read them, that's more power to you. You don't have to, because you know that's not what your woman's there for, right? And I know you don't want to hear that, but you don't read, so you know, of course. But what I would say is this: you get your mates, right? Your bros, right? To read those 3 books too, okay? And then you can advance in this life. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, you know, it's a simple, you know, there's this quote. It goes, those who fail to plan to fail, right? And I was thinking about that, and I said, you know, it's also those who do nothing to prepare are preparing to do nothing. You know, I'll give you an example, man. You know, if you read, you have an advantage over those who don't. Right? If you read, you have an advantage over those who don't. And it's the same way, like, if you train in anything, you have an advantage of those who don't. Now you might look at me and say, hey, look, Odie's a big guy. You know, maybe, right? Especially in this country. In this country, I'm kind of a tall guy, right? But man, look at me and say, Odie's a big guy, right? Why I'm saying that is, you know, if you know that you train for boxing, and I don't, right? You could reasonably assume you could beat my ass in boxing. It ain't complicated. And the thing is this: if you training for boxing and you can't beat my ass, although I'm not training, right? Then something wrong with you. You know, nothing wrong with me if you beat my ass while you boxing, even if I'm stronger, heavier, whatever. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's something wrong with you if you can't. Now, of course, you know, there's a limit. You know, if you know, 4 foot 4'4" and 90 pounds. Don't expect yourself to, you know, be no grown ass man. You know, no disrespect to you. You know, maybe you're a child. I don't know. But what I'm just saying generally, and of course, you know, we talking, you know, man to man. You know, that said, why I'm saying this is to say, books are part of the training in life. Training in reality, and what I noticed, and I'll give you guys a personal story. My brother hit me up, come out of nowhere, you know. And this like I'm gonna first give you the pretext, the context, which is, you know, you want to connect with brothers off of books you read. You know, you don't want to connect. See, a lot of right now, what we connecting off of people with is the sports we watch. You know, or the fights we watch, or the cartoons we indulge in, or the comic books we read, or because when we talk about reading, we talk about there's a quality to reading too. Okay, you can't just read anything and think that you a reader. Okay, so I actually had a brother hit me up. He said, who would win in a fight, man? Naruto or what's that guy from One Piece? Some guy from Luffy. Naruto or Luffy? And I told him, look, man, I never seen Naruto win because I don't watch Naruto. I said, I don't watch Naruto. I never watched One Piece. You know, One Piece is, you don't know, probably like 600 episodes cartoon. You know, Naruto is another 600 episode cartoon. So it's like I'm not watching those 600 episode cartoon. I write books. You know, so brother asked me, you know, who win in the fight. And I said I never seen Naruto win. You know, because I don't watch it, but I just never seen this dude, right? So he just said, okay. And it just reminded me, like, what are you connecting with other brothers for on comic books? You know, like connect on books, and here's where you might say, well, only why are you telling us this? You know what? You got books or something? Look, I wrote 7 books. And last month I earned $10 from 7 books. Now you tell me, you do the math with that. How I earned $10 from 7 books? If y'all read it. You know what I'm saying? If y'all reading, if y'all connecting over books, how am I earning $7 and $10 in a month? You see what I'm saying? So what I'm also telling you is the quality of the books you read, because you know there are some books you can go out there and read for free, you know, with some good quality, of course. You know, I read this, you know, it's a little racist book, but I read it and it was good, right? But what I'm saying to you is go out there, you know, I mean, get up, pick up a book that you like, and that's what I'm gonna do with my son. That's what I'm gonna start doing with my son. You know, I'm already of the opinion that, you know, like he just came from school, he didn't do too well. Okay, he got the top of the bottom. You know, like he was the 49%. You know, in his class, which is fine because, you know, he don't know the language. So he wasn't the 0%. You know, he wasn't 100%. He was 49%, which is okay because he don't know the language. And another thing he didn't do was he didn't read. When I started studying with him for the last exam, I said to myself, when I started reviewing his final exam, right? I said to myself, you know what? This boy would have got a much higher score if he just read. So now what I'm doing is I'm doing this. I'm paying him every day to read his 7 textbooks. Okay, he has 7 textbooks. He's reading those 7 textbooks every day. Okay? And then on top of that, I said, look, I'm gonna put him in some Booker T. Washington. You know, read 3 chapters of Booker T. Washington's I can't remember the name, Character Building or something like that. Read that book, 3 chapters. And then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give him Wangalifa. Okay? I'm gonna give him that book. So I want you to do the same. You go to your son and you say, look, boy, I might give you allowance, I might not give you allowance. But look here. What you're gonna do every day is you're gonna read some of Wangalifa. Okay? You just go to your son and you say, look, you're gonna read some of that. Okay? Now you could also say, look, you're gonna read your school books too, because that's really that's also what you should be doing. Okay? You should do both of them. You should do I'm not gonna do the Booker T. Washington Character Building every day, but I just want my son to read it, you know? But, you know, like, I'm not gonna do it all year, but what I'm saying is that every day these boys will sit down and read, because that's how you get advantages in this world. Again, those who do nothing to prepare to do nothing. And that's why ain't nobody worried about anybody doing some big shit. Anybody who don't read, we're not worried about them. We're not scared of them. That's how it is. That's how life is. You know, people who read, we know how things go. So that's it. Hope you guys check out the book. Obviously, again, I said Wangalifa. Check it out. And you know, if I make $100 this next month, which again, it's not big money, but if I make $100 next month, you know, I'm gonna tell y'all, you know, we'll see what we can do. But so far, I'm telling you, consistently, not even $10 is actually high for me. but that's a problem. If the book's out for a year, and I'm telling you, it's one of the best. You know, I'm good. Of course, it's not. You know, I'm not saying it's the only great book on the planet. No. You know, I want you all to read, you know, Patel Tech. I want you to read some Marcus Garvey. I want you to read some Carlos Cooks, and you can get all those for free. Carlos Cooks maybe will run you a pretty penny, but you know, if you hit me up, I got you. But what I'm saying is, I want you to read the edit. You know what I'm saying? I'm in this country right now. Shout out to Tanzania. But y'all want to take a look? Not Tanzania. But what I'm saying is, what I'm telling you is, it's those who do nothing to prepare to do nothing. That's it. And if you want to prepare in life, you know, if you want to be the best boxer, you got to go boxing. You got to go train. If you want to learn this language, you know, Swahili, you got to go, you know, you got to practice it. And if you want to understand reality, you got to read books that correlate with reality. And as far as I'm concerned, the best book out there, as far as I'm concerned, of course I'm a biased writer, I'm a biased author, but the best book out there is Wangalifu. All right then, Shemi Motep, Uncle Johnson, Nab, Amen, my I do, I nature.